So, this is the Untitled Coaching Podcast.
Untitled is the title?
Untitled is the title.
Clever.
So sometimes we figure out a title on the way. Mm-hmm. Maybe we get there, maybe we don't, and that's fine.
Oh, so we'll name the episode with the title?
Yeah,
okay.
Man, you got it. You're the first person to actually get it right off the jump.
I'm sharp today. I've had 2.5 coffees.
Let's go. So who are you?
I was born in Thousand Oaks in 1986 by Craig and Betty Kackert. My name's Chad. I was named Charles, but people call me Chad.
That's deep.
Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then your family calls you Uncle Chuck? Is that wrong?
As soon as my sister told me she was pregnant at the age of, what was her first kid when she was 36 or 37? She has 3 now. She's 40.
Dang.
Yeah, that happened fast. So I guess she was 36 with the first. Anyway, as soon as I found out she was pregnant, I said, I will be known as Uncle Chuck from here on. And so the nephews and niece know me as Chuck.
That's cool. I've seen you interact with them.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you enjoy that job.
I love that job. It's
Yeah.
my favorite job.
Yeah.
They're such good kids, too. They're absolute menaces. So it's Dalton. He's 4. Davis is 2. And Daisy Lynn was the surprise, and she's about to turn 1 next month. So,
Jeez.
yeah, and she had Daisy after she turned 40, like 2 weeks after she turned 40. So, but they're such good kids. They learn fast. I actually just told Dalton yesterday because she sent me these videos of Dalton and Davis like flexing and lifting up water bottles over their head, and Jamie was telling him like, okay, squat down, now stand up. Now like she had him doing pretty much a sumo deadlift high pull with a jug that was half his size.
Yeah.
You know?
That's awesome.
And so she sent me a video of him in his car seat because I was like, I look forward to coming out there and working out with y'all. And Dalton's like, I look forward to that too. And did you see me lift the bottle over my head? And I was just telling him like, hey, I can't give you a much better compliment than telling you that you're coachable. That means that you're willing to listen and learn, and you're willing to fail in order to learn.
Yeah.
I haven't heard his response yet, but I'm sure I'll get it. But yeah, I think that's high praise to tell someone that they're coachable.
Yeah, 100%. I want to say like the first time someone ever told me that, which is going to sound awful. I'm a coach's kid, and it would have been, I was 14, Coach Alford, offensive coordinator at Garland. He's now the head coach at Rowlett. I was getting my butt kicked in practice. And he, like the freshmen for some reason were on the varsity field, and I'm just getting torn up. And he ran over and he's chewing me out and like just getting into me. And he's like, crap or get off the pot. And I didn't know what that meant. I thought he was asking if I have to like go to the bathroom. Yeah. So I kind of like joked back with him, and then he was like, get back in, run it again. And I failed, and then I came off and I asked him a question, and then he was like, get back in, run it again. And then I did okay. And then after practice, he was like, man, great job being coachable today. Mm-hmm. And it just like, it was like welled up in me. I was like, oh yeah, that's all I've ever wanted. Yeah. Because I would hear my dad talk about his players and went, man, you know, so-and-so, he would say like heart of a lion, feet like bricks, but so coachable. Yeah. You know? Uh-huh. Because that's what you want.
You have a very specific memory about that.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
That meant something to you.
Yeah. Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go. Let's peel back the layers.
That's not my job, but we'll see. Maybe they'll peel themselves back.
What is I love doing this. What is our relationship?
We're pals.
We're pals. See, it's official.
Most of the time.
You ever watch Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
And so they do the deposition, and she had to get on record that they were like in a relationship with like Ben Wyatt. And she's like, how many other people get to put on deposition that you're in a relationship?
It's official. I can't recall the exact origin, but our current working relationship is that you are a coach that sought out a coach.
Yeah.
And I am the lucky guy to be on the other side of that relationship.
Yeah, it's been cool.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting.
It has been.
It's been I think it's an interesting dynamic that like you and I both coach full time, and we've done that for some years. How long have you been coaching full time?
Full-time coach, a little over 8 years now.
Yeah, so about the same. And I just don't ever recall a time in my life where I was thriving without some sort of mentorship. So we got to this space at the gym where my coach was retiring and selling me the gym. And I was just kind of in like panic mode, I guess. And I've always admired what you guys do at CFDC, now BPR. And Spencer had done my level 1 and level 2. So my level 1 was like 12 years ago, maybe 13 years ago. And then my level 2 would have been like 6 or 7 years ago, maybe 8, I don't know. But in my level 1, he came across and he was like, hey man, like we're in the same area. I actually know Robert, who owns your gym. If you ever need anything, reach out. And me being me, I was just like, what's your contact info? Like right there at the check-in table, you know, with 60 other people doing their L1. And he was like, here it is. And then Dean was next to him, and Dean kind of like liked that. It was like, dude, I'll give you my contact info too. And I was like, sweet. And then Chase was coaching with him at the time, and Chase was there, and Chase was just kind of, I was like, let's go 3 for 3. So all 3 of those guys, you know, over the years, I would just send a text to or call. And during 2020, called Spencer and was like, dude, I think I need a coach. And we met, and then it would have been like a year and a half later, I was like, all right, I really need a coach now. Yeah. And he was like, dude, you got to work with Chad.
Sweet.
It's like, okay, cool.
Lucky me.
Yeah. And here we've been. And what I've like really come to appreciate just about you and how you operate is you're very genuine. So I've never not known where I stand, either as a friend or a client, or just when we've been in like peer situations. Oftentimes people are really afraid to push back, but I appreciate when you push back, because you push back in a way that comes from either curiosity, or you're like, no, this is actually what I believe in this situation. I don't know if that makes sense.
Can you give an example of when I've pushed back? Because I don't feel like I'm a resistant guy.
No. And so I like push back would be like, so faith is a big one. I remember we were talking pretty early on about stoicism, and you had talked about this venture to potentially write a book on stoicism and Christianity, and how those things had been shaping your beliefs and things. And then we got into, we both attend Watermark here in Dallas, and we're both members. And at the time you were pursuing membership, and I forget what the thing was, but I had said something along the lines of my beliefs as it pertained to community. And I think it was something dealing with interconnected, intergender community. I forget like what the exact phrasing was, but I said something, and I had like kind of like a hard line, and you were like, that's interesting. I don't know if I feel the same way. And then you kind of like laid down your opinion on that and like your value system on that. And it got me thinking. I just remember like leaving that conversation. One, I went to then go work out in class, and in class, I was just letting that sit. And I was like, man, it's cool that I think talking about faith, people oftentimes get very guarded, right? And they sometimes can get very insecure. And I've never known you, when we talk about faith or values, to be shy about those things. But then in that specific situation, you pushed back, but in a way that was like, yeah, that's just how I feel about it. And it was super cool. And I forget where the disconnect was. But it wasn't necessarily a disconnect that made me think, oh yeah, we're just not on the same page. I got in the car and I was like, yeah, I really could see where like an intergender community situation in that context makes a lot of sense. Man, I just like rambled forever.
It's all right. I appreciate that. And you have a good memory. Couple things. One, if you were in the camp of like community for singles should be one gender, so guys with guys, girls with girls, that's the watermark methodology. But also something to consider within that methodology is what you're talking about. You're sharing how you're feeding your flesh. You're sharing how you're feeding your spirit and how you're feeding others. That's not something that should be shared with the opposite gender,
right?
Especially in like an intimate setting like that.
Yeah.
And you want to be cautious when you say the word should or shouldn't be, but I think that's one of those exceptions where you're going to share things that are intimate, and that's inviting people into your heart. And in a mixed gender setting like that, people at the same age, people in the same well, they're single. It opens doors that just aren't meant to be opened unless you are intending to be growing an intimate relationship with that person.
Right.
So that's where I'm in your camp on that. Like when it comes to watermark, the difference was in that setting is it was like a small church that happened on a Wednesday night. Mm-hmm. We would get together without a pastor, without a set leader. There was a host. It was just their house. Shout out to Stephen Hill. What a guy. And we would pray. Someone would play the guitar, very campfire type.
Yeah.
We would all sing, and then we would dive into Philippians 1, and the next week was Philippians 2.
Yeah.
And they welcomed me in because at that time I was uncertain about what direction my faith was going, and they welcomed me in to ask like really difficult questions. And I always went in with an ego of like, I'm going to stump them this time. That wasn't my goal, but it was like, I'm going to bring some perspective.
Yeah.
And I was the one leaving with new perspective.
Yeah.
And so in that setting where it wasn't like, hey, let's dive into our personal lives, like we're talking about community group. There's community group that's intimate and you're really sharing and digging in and like discipling each other, holding each other accountable, which means like confession is part of that. That in a setting where there's the opposite gender could be a little dicey.
Yeah, 100%. And now that with that context, that was the thing that driving away from BPR, I was like, man, there's so much good in that situation where I was so rigid in my approach. Like maybe if my brother or a friend would have been like, hey, what do you think may be going on Wednesday night? And like it's guys and girls getting together and we're kind of like worshiping and doing these things. My immediate thought was like, oh, that sounds like community. And I don't know if you should do community that way. Mm-hmm. But since that conversation, I was like, man, that really just sounds like the Spirit moving. Mm-hmm. And like, why do you have to put rules around the Spirit moving?
Yeah.
So
changed my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd be happy to share some more of that because if we started our coaching relationship in 21, that means you've seen me go from agnostic to a believer.
That's wild.
Have you been able to recognize that?
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of it is, I think that, so one of the reasons why I was drawn to BPR is our gym blends personal training with group training, which is what you guys do. And going through OPEX, I believe most of y'all have gone through OPEX, just getting to understand, asking better questions, all these things. I was like, oh, it's cool to have these guys do the same thing and feel the same way philosophically about coaching. Mm-hmm. So when we got into these coaching conversations where you and I were having our goal setting sessions and things like that and check-ins, I was like, man, almost like how you were like, I'm gonna stump him. I was like, man, I'm gonna give him a curveball today. Uh-huh. Like he's not even ready. And then I was like, oh, this dude's like choking up, adjusting his swing, and he's going oppo on all these things that I'm giving him. Like, okay, here we go. But what was beautiful in that was how unafraid you were to talk about faith and talk about your background, talk about going to a Christian school and growing up in that. And so, yeah, to answer your question in a very long way, I was like, okay, this guy is very much agnostic right now. And I was like, it's not my job to share the gospel with him every single day and every time we interact, because he's heard the gospel and he's brilliant. Like he knows the Bible. Like he's got Bible knowledge. I was like, so it's just a season. And a lot of that too was like, I had a season like that myself. I had about 5 years where for me, it was, I just didn't feel like I was good enough that I had earned salvation, which is totally not how it works.
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was cool getting to know you in that season and just seeing kind of that growth.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I appreciate you saying that you understand me as genuine because I think that's, well, along with being coachable, that's high praise. And there was a time in my life, you know, I think of my faith journey as kind of like 3 main books, where the first book was like force-fed. I believed and I followed, but it was more of a I can play by the rules kind of thing. And also I don't want to find out what happens if I don't play by the rules. And then there was a long chapter of disbelief and questioning. And now there's a new chapter of faith. And that's the distinction is there was, I believe this because I was told to. And if you would have heard me talk about my faith from like the age of childhood to 23 or 25, I would not have been genuine. And that's something I realized through the journey re-entering faith is I realized if there's something I believe in, there's something I love, you can't shut me up.
yeah.
I will talk about it until the end of the day. And I don't care if you're bored. I'll just keep going. And so I noticed there was a lot of things I loved talking about that I really believed in. I was like, why is this one thing that I've claimed to believe in that isn't just something that we're supposed to enjoy or share with people? Like you're betting your soul on this.
Yeah.
If you're going to bet your soul on it, you better believe it. And so that was almost one of the reasons I left the faith was because I don't think I believe this. If I can't share this with someone, if I've been a Christian my whole life and I've never like felt the need to share this with people, am I a Christian?
Yeah. There's like, feels like there's a disconnect there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so it didn't feel genuine. It didn't feel like it was my faith. It felt like a faith I was told to believe. And so, thankfully, that 10-year, maybe even more span where I didn't claim to be a believer was just God working and rebuilding that. So when I did return, it was authentic and genuine and something that, and during that time, I think he kind of groomed my gift of teaching. And so realizing, well, it's important for me to learn this because I'm going to want to teach it. And then get to a point where my faith was so strong and better understood that there'd be no shame or no like fear in sharing that with people.
Yeah. I love that lead in that perspective, because the big question I wanted to ask you today was, how have you seen your faith play a part in your coaching and how you show up as a coach? And to kind of like put a bracket after that question mark, personally, the reason I ask is I have been struggling now as a business owner with where do I stop and where do I start sharing my faith, right? And maybe a little context would be like, Robert and I have always talked about, so this gym's been here for 17 years. And I met Robert a year into him owning the gym. And one of the first things he told me is like, well, it's not a gym. I really look at it as a ministry. And that blew my mind.
Yeah.
And keeping that, there are things that I was like, okay, well, a ministry doesn't necessarily promote drinking at our events, and we would have parties and stuff, and like there would be like the old CrossFit stuff, like you'd finish the L1 and there were cases of beer.
Yeah.
And so then inviting guys from Watermark and guys in my community to join the gym, there were little things that they were like, oh, hey, like, I know you really love Wu-Tang. Maybe play the edited version. Oh, hey, I know you really love this. Maybe, it's like, oh, hey, I noticed you're really feeding your flesh with this. And slowly we've started to make changes. And my fear in making some changes was like, well, I don't want the people that don't abide in Christ. I don't want the people that don't even associate with being Christian. I don't want them to feel judged. I don't want them to feel like I'm doing something to like be preachy. I want them to see it as love, and I want them to see it as care. So back to the alcohol thing, there's people at our gym that are in recovery and that have been sober for a few decades. And we've talked about faith and, getting with the coaching team, I just sat down and said, hey, my belief, I don't have anything against having a beer, but my belief is like, you don't have to be drunk to have a good time. And it's not loving to have this thing available at a party. So just moving forward, alcohol doesn't come into this place. And we've done that for a couple of years now, and it's been really chill.
Yeah.
So you being a coach and you working with members and doing all these things, and the level of coaching, y'all being so personal in how you do it, how have you seen this other side of where you are, like just book 3, essentially, of your faith journey? How have you seen that impact your coaching?
Yeah. I want to answer that, and I will. I want to ask you a question.
Okay, great.
Because I could sense my past self, if I was listening to this podcast and I heard you say, like, play the edited version and no alcohol, I'd be like, these people are no fun.
Yeah.
And it just feels like rules. Like, just don't fill your mind with these things, which is the case, but why? Can you explain that to anyone who might be listening and being like, that sounds like absolutely zero fun?
Yeah. Well, the alcohol specifically just came from a place of we noticed. I mean, there was a guy one time that got so drunk at a party that he had to stay here, and we had a coach and a member like stay the night with him.
Wow.
And we were all like, felt kind of embarrassed by that.
Yeah.
And then we just found that there were just more instances around alcohol where people would get feelings hurt or things would just get a little bit crazy, and we'd be, whatever. And so I was like, well, one, just from a logistical standpoint, it's a risk.
Yeah.
But from loving people well, I was like, man, it really bummed me out that we had this handful of people at our gym that this is their safe space. And then they came in the day after a party, and in their fridge is a case of beer that someone didn't drink and they were going to pick up the next day.
Yeah.
And now they got to come in here in a vulnerable spot and see beer.
Yeah.
And then the music thing, I don't know, man. It would be really weird. It was weird. It's weird thinking about going back to that. And it just felt a little bit more freeing now, not ever worrying about an F-bomb being dropped or whatever, and looking around and be like, oh, so-and-so's in here. I know that just made her uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered your question fully.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like, what benefit is it to have swearing in your music? Like, are they listening to the lyrics or are they working out?
Yeah. And I tell one of my coaches all the time, I'm not a DJ.
Yeah.
Yes, like I am going to curate an atmosphere, but I actually one of our new coaching shirts says I'm not a DJ. So it's like,
I love that. Yesterday when I was coaching the class, I was getting ready to hit 3, 2, 1, go. And I was like, all right, I got some real hit and miss music coming up for y'all just to set expectations. like some of y'all aren't going to like everything. Anyway, we could go down a deep rabbit trail with music in
for
class,
sure.
but we'll save it. But yeah, that does answer the question. Because it's one of those things where, like, in that first book of my faith journey, like, I remember specific sermons, whether it was at summer camp or youth group, where they were like, look at these lyrics, and they would show it up and be like, oh, I didn't know Hey Ya was about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
You know?
yeah.
And so that just felt like, oh, well, we can't listen to the music that the rest of the world listens to, and we're excluded and we're isolated. And, you know, maybe there is a time in everyone's like faith journey where they need to separate themselves from that stuff. Maybe there's a time to re-enter, and it's okay to, and it doesn't affect you. But we were talking about not being on social media a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'd say over the past year, the exposure I've had to, what's a way to say this without it sounding super weird? The exposure that I've had to like loosely dressed or minimally dressed women has been minimal, if not non-existent, to the point where like I lost a desire to want to even like watch TV shows or movies where there's going to be like beach scenes. And that felt like a spirit thing, but it also just felt like a protective thing from the spirit. Like that desire is gone, which is crazy because like you don't want that desire to leave.
Right.
You want that desire to stay for the right person.
Right.
But I've even observed in myself an incredible change of heart and perspective of not having that in my mind. And it changes the way that I interact with people and the way and what I view as like helpful and unhelpful. And so that's another example where it's like, yeah, you could listen to these lyrics, but like it's going to affect you whether you know it or not.
Right.
And so if you have, whether you're a believer or not, if you have a mission in life to become a certain type of man or a certain type of woman that is honorable or respectable, you want to put the things in that are going to come out.
Yeah.
And we think we have control over that, but
No.
maybe to a degree, not as much as we think.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't answer your question yet.
No, you're good. It's a really interesting thought. You know, we both know Mark England, and I went to the Enlifted conference in Austin 2 years ago, and I would say, and I'm not trying to judge anybody in that room, but I would say of the 200 or so people that were there may be 5 of us that were believers, and only 2 of us were like open about it. There was some really like woo things going on, and like you can extrapolate truth from any situation. I think like in 2009, John Paul II said something like, you know, to put up a wall with your Buddhist and Islamic brothers is just ignorant, because there's truth in all things you can pull out.
Yeah.
But in that conference, I started to notice that, you know, his big thing is like words. And we did a practice where we kind of trained and we did some breath work to some really down, depressing lyrical stuff. And then
On purpose?
On purpose.
Okay.
And then we did some breath work to really high melodic, happy stuff. And he was just like, hey man, like I'm all for like Rage Against the Machine and all this stuff. He's like, but if you need that to train, you have a real issue in the words that are trapped in your head. So even from a like worldly perspective, I think when we talk about what you're putting into your mind, you just got to be careful. There needs to be some sort of filtration process. Yeah. And, you know, talking about the social media thing, I 100% agree. You know, since pulling back on social media, and I'll do this on a rhythm every once in a while, but it is hard to be a male in the fitness industry when sex sells. Yeah. You know, and you have, you want this vibe in your gym where you want everyone to feel safe. But there's this extra layer in me in the last 10 years where I have a friend who was at a gym who was not safe in a situation, and it stemmed from the will you dress provocatively thing. And so we had this rule here. It was like shirts stay on all the time. And then we kind of got away with that rule being specific, and we just said like, we just need to set a better example on how we dress, how we present ourselves. So if you're coaching, you just don't look homeless.
Yeah.
You know, like
Spencer.
But you just, you make sure you have a clean shirt on and make sure it doesn't look like you don't care about your appearance.
Pretty easy standard to keep.
Yeah. And then that permeates to other things, the music you play, the way you speak to people, the way you look at people while they're training. You have to be cognizant of whether or not you are meaning to look like, a predator. You may be intently focused on someone's posture while they're squatting, but you have to also be aware, like, oh, I don't need to stand directly behind this person while they're squatting.
Yeah.
I need to go stand at profile. And I also need to highlight what I'm talking about. Like, hey, really note, like, hips look good right there. Make sure chest is up. You don't just need to stand and stare, because I'm kind of rambling, but these things all play into your clients just need to feel safe.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, people walk into gyms like ours because they are acknowledging that there's something missing. They need mentorship. They need a safe space, and they want to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to create that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You want to cultivate an environment where everybody's going to feel safe. And sometimes that takes really difficult conversations with people that are interfering with that culture.
Yeah. And in those situations too, it's just a conversation. And I've seen things where coaches avoid having the conversation because, it's awkward. And it's like, man, I've never been in a spot in this place, and being around this place for 16 years, I've never been in a spot where we've had to talk to somebody and say, hey, this happened and it wasn't cool. And they were like, yeah, I know. It's always like, oh man, I didn't even know. Or like, well, now that I know, I'm not going to do that thing.
Yeah.
And it's just always like hey, like this, it's not okay. And this is why it's not okay. And it's, if you truly are in a spot of loving your people well, those conversations are quick.
Yeah.
It's you saw it once. Hey bro, let me talk to you real quick. You don't need to pat her on the butt and say good game. Like you're not on the same football team, dog.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's just not okay. Or even like, we have had to talk to women in those situations too. And just be like, hey, like, just kind of be aware. So, man, I'm like flying the plane all over the place right now.
All over the place. I love it though. We could go all down all different paths from that.
Yeah.
So the question was about my interactions. Can you hear him chewing on that?
No, I'm laughing at myself. I feel like I listen to the Smart List podcast from time to time. And they'll do this thing where like Jason Bateman will ask a question and then Sean Hayes will ramble. And then the person interviewing will be like, so the question you asked 15 minutes ago. Yeah. And so I'm just kind of like.
Perfect. So we're on track. If Jason Bateman's doing it, then we're doing a good job. So the question that you did ask was, like, how do I coach in a way that's somewhat ministering? How did you word that?
Yeah, the thing that's interesting to me is, when do you lean in on those things? When do you not? Are you aware that you have maybe like guardrails up? Or is it a thing that you're just kind of like letting the spirit move? Is it something that's intentional? Is it something that's not? Has it changed the way you interact with your clients?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You asked for clarity on the question and I made it more.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. And
is it a good question?
Yeah. I'll start here because I pray routinely that I will make God an evident part of my life in my interactions with people. And so I was talking to Ashton, my girlfriend. She asked what I wanted prayer for. This was a couple weeks ago. It's probably like the 10th time I've shared this because she's very wise. And I said, could you pray that when people interact with me, that they are aware in a way that I love God and I love Jesus? And she said, yeah, that's great. I'll pray for that. But might it be better if you prayed that your interactions would invite them to know God? And I said, yes, that's what I meant. yeah, that's what I meant.
Wow, that's
right?
great.
And she's exactly right. And it sounds like the same thing, but it's clearly not the same thing, because one of them is about me. Mm-hmm. The other one goes through me for them. And so I want to be mindful of that and continue to pray for that. And I know what it's like to be preached at. I know what it's like to be told that my ways are wrong. You know,
it's not fun.
When you think of the prophet, false or otherwise, on the street corner yelling and preaching, that to me isn't inviting. I can't think of anyone who hears a stranger say, repent, that they're going to go and repent. Like, unless the Spirit moves. That just doesn't seem like an effective way to minister to people or to show love. Like, and who put you on that platform?
Right.
So the way that I'd like to manifest that is through love, and what that looks like as a coach, what it looks like when you're coaching a group class on the floor, or what it looks like when you are in a private check-in with a client. And a lot of that is listening. It's just being helpful. It's making sure that they feel seen and heard. When we coach a class, one of the things that we make sure to do is, if not greet everyone when they come in, have an interaction. When our coaches are auditing classes while another coach is coaching, one of the things they track is not just, did you talk to every person, but how many times and what cues did you give them? Mm-hmm. Like, engage with people. And you can do that in a class with 25 people. You can.
Yeah.
There's an hour. Go see a person every other minute. You're fine. And so it's really just like letting people know that they have been seen, they have been helped in some way, and just seeing where that goes. And it might invite conversations after class. It might just encourage them to do the same for someone else. You know, like, a compliment goes a million miles. Like, imagine something you've worked really hard on and you know you're good at, but then someone says it to you. It's a game changer.
It's a game changer.
It's affirming.
Yeah.
And so seeing people, communicating with them, affirming them, doing it through love, that means not a, hey, look how loving I am, but it's like, hey, I see you. That's where it's at right now. I had this thought yesterday, a couple days ago. How I coach now is the best I've ever coached. If you came and watched me coach a class right now, you'd have your judgments, and you know, depending on where you are in your journey. If you came and saw me coach a year from now, almost guarantee it's going to be different.
Yeah.
But it will be better. It will be better, but it will be different. And so where I'm at with sharing my faith, I think, is the same. God will continue to work his process of sanctification. He'll continue to build my knowledge, and he'll essentially train me for what he needs me to be ready for.
I love that. I love it when I'm kind of laughing at myself. It's interesting. It's just so much. It's so much to sit with as a coach, because it's true. You know, everything you've hit. Yes, like, greet people, have interactions with them. We do need to be constantly growing. You know, we do need to make sure that you guys do individual sessions. And these individual sessions, we as clients get prompted when we get on your calendar. How would you rate yourself on, like, these areas? Or is there anything that you, because y'all have this P2S4 model, and we can like nerd out on that. Yeah. But essentially we get prompted on what in your training, what in this coaching program do you want to focus on when we get together? And you've even started to do these, like, when we get together, we're going to train, you know, depending on how the session goes. One, that for me was fun the first time when we came in and, like, we started talking, you were like, all right, let's get to the floor. That was cool. I noticed a difference in how you carried yourself in those check-ins from the first, like, 5 or 6 that we did to how it's been the last year and a half or so. Have you noticed the difference in those? Have you noticed how those one-on-ones are different and how you show up to those?
Yeah. Yeah. And those also continue to evolve. At this point, those questions that you see on the invite, I wrote those. So if you were with a different coach, you'd be getting different questions.
That's cool.
And so, I want to know like which territory of health, as we define them, the 6 different territories. That's the P2S4, which we can get into if you want. But it's just kind of like, that's really just there to give me a heads up. Yeah. Does this person have something they're thinking about working on? And if so, how can I be more prepared? Or at least I have something to be like, hey, you want to talk nutrition? Let's rock and roll. Yeah. What seems to be the interference? And we can get started. Otherwise, it's like active listening and spirited inquiry until we find something that client's going through that they need to work on. So when you're saying that you have these personal sessions, typically that's conversation. Mm-hmm. There are scenarios like, might as well say what the P2S4 are: performance and psychology, social, stress, sustenance, and sleep. Yep. So the P2S4 is just kind of like a nice moniker that helps us remember it. But if it's performance, it makes sense to go do something. Yeah. Right? So if someone was training for high rocks and they don't know how to do a hand over hand sled pull, like, well, let's spend our 30 minutes learning that, because that's important to that person. If it's psychology, well, we're probably not going to be out on the floor doing something. So it's really dependent on what the client needs. But to answer your question about how I show up for those things, it can depend on the week of the day and just like the stress, all these things factor into
there's so many variables,
coach, right? The relationship with that person, what it is they said they wanted to talk about, but pretty much there's a really similar approach to like how you manage that check-in. And I could pull that veil back if are coaches listening to this?
We do, yeah. So this specific episode will actually be geared towards coaches.
Yeah. All right. So, Spencer, I don't know if he coined the term, but spirited inquiry. That means you're asking questions and you're listening. You don't have to be a trained psychologist or have any special accolades. You need to learn to listen. That's the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. I have not been a good listener for most of my life. My brain goes off elsewhere. I hear one thing and I chase it like a dog chasing a tennis ball. But listening.
Good anecdote.
Yeah, right. So listening, and then you're listening for a couple things where there might be ambivalence, meaning that they're kind of in two camps that are fighting against each other, and you're also listening for their strengths. And so what you want to do is you want to use and utilize their strengths to help them discern between the ambivalence. And you also want to use some compassion here. One of those aspects of compassion is common humanity, meaning letting them know that they're not the only person that's gone through this thing. They're not an isolated weirdo with unique problems. As much as you want to believe that, because it feels good to be like, oh, no one's ever done this before. Yeah. I'm the exception. Probably not. So, but that in an encouraging way, saying, hey, you're not alone on this. What you're going through is really common, but our approach to it won't be common. And that's really where that part starts. The main difference here is if there was a cure for everything that everyone's going through, if there was a perfect meal plan, we would know it. This is one of those things that like Instagram does. Like, it gives a big blanket Band-Aid for everything. And there was a fitness report that just came out, and it said, like, more than ever, people are exercising. More than ever, people are confused about what to do. Yeah. Like the percentage of, I don't know what to do. There's 1,000 different ways to get stronger. Which one am I supposed to follow? Yeah. So there's confusion around it. So even, I'm sure you can think of this, and coaches that are listening, a class ends. Hey, I'd like to put on more muscle. What do I do? You're going to give an Instagram answer in that scenario, because the way that question is answered is sitting down and asking questions about who this individual is. Because you could say the blanket statement, which really does work in most scenarios, of like, hey, we need to prioritize protein.
Yep.
And you can unpack that. It means eat it first before you eat the carbs on your plate. Yeah. It means that's the one thing you're going to track if you're going to track anything. But even still, that may not be the right thing, because how is that person going to be compliant with that? Are you sure? Are they confident they can follow through? So the check-in with a client isn't just a, hey, how's it going? It's, what do you want to work on and what's in the way? What are your strengths and how can we use those? And the one little tool at the end of that is, once they say, yes, I can do this, ask them what their confidence rating is. This isn't something we came up with. I'm ripping this off of Precision Nutrition. 0 to 10 scale, how confident you can do exactly what you said. And let's just say the thing you said was, I'll do this on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll do it before I go to bed. Okay, how confident are you can do it? If they say anything below a 9, change it. You got to make it easier. And the world we live in is like, things need to be more difficult. They need to be more challenging. I need to uproot my life and make it different.
Who's going to carry the boats, bro?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work like that,
no.
Right? And I've probably used these ninja tricks on you most of the time when we check in.
Yep.
But, people think there needs to be a big overhaul, like a makeover. You change one thing, and the whole momentum starts to move with it.
Yeah. No, I'm loving all of that, because I agree that this is why I wanted to work with you, wanted to work with y'all, like, we believe everything you just put down. That's what we've believed for the longest time. And it's from a market standpoint, it kind of blows my mind that more people aren't running the play of intentional check-ins, because we do a very similar thing. I've got a form that all of our clients get when they do our 30-day check-ins. We've used it for years, and I just have, whatever. But it's very frustrating to then talk to peers at conferences or coffee or whatever, and you're just like, they're like, oh yeah, we're using this new template, and that's what we're using for everybody. I'm like, yeah, well, what if that person doesn't digest protein, the same way you do? Or what if that's just not their goal? Do you know anything about them? Do you know what's going on in their life? And I think most of our check-ins have been really around my stress as a business owner, as a husband and a father, and balancing all those things. And while there have been, performance goals and things that I've wanted, we just always get back to, you're just peeling back the layers of, okay, what does this season look like? We know things fluctuate. This isn't that intentional conversation, that curiosity that you have is so powerful. And I have noticed tying, if listeners, you haven't gathered, I love tying everything back to faith, talking with Chad, because it's such an interesting dynamic about his personality to me, because I see a lot of my journey in what I've gotten to see in his journey. Now he's in what he calls the third book and all this stuff, but that's what I was trying to avoid earlier. But seeing this, the first year of working with you, I don't want to say that you weren't as compassionate. I'm not trying to put that on you.
But you can say it if it's true.
Well, because it's not that it was a different level of compassion, and there's a different level of understanding, because a lot of our early conversations, we did talk about faith a lot. I don't know if you remember that, but like we would talk about stuff, and then like I would share something, and then you would kind of ask a question around it, and then we'd have this like 10, 15 minute conversation around faith. And then a couple times it would just kind of, it ended. And I was just like, interesting. I wonder what he's thinking about that. And, but the last, I guess, like, I'm just going to keep calling this third book version of you.
Sure. Yeah.
The compassion's just different. It's so different. And I've also noticed when I come in to train in the middle of the day, from time to time, your energy is so different. and the intention on like saying what's up to people and all those things. I don't want to say that sometimes it felt forced a few years ago. But if I were to put it next to each other, this version of you is like genuinely happy to see everybody. And I don't know if anybody ever caught the vibe, because I think I was looking at it through like a coach's lens or even like an owner's lens. There would be times that I was like, I think that looked like a forced reaction. I think that looked like a forced, like, oh, I got to check the box and interact with this person.
Yeah.
But now the way you move with those people the last couple of years, I mean, you are like, it's so clear to me you love being there and you love getting to know what's going on in people's lives. And the coaching to you on the floor, the squat is cool, but you're getting so much out of the interaction you're having with that person, seeing them get a little uptick in their mood, seeing them get something, and you're like, yes, that was it. You know, like a few weeks ago, I was up there just, you know, and you were working with a client, and I was just like watching this. I'm like, oh man, look at this guy. So have you noticed that yourself, that like this third book version of you shows up a little bit differently in those situations?
Well, first of all, thank you. It's very affirming.
I hope it didn't like, I hope there wasn't anything that like hurt your feelings about how it used to be.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, my hope is that there's constant improvement. And if that's in an authentic way, then we're on the right track.
Can I interrupt really quick? Because I do want to clarify. It's not like the other version was bad. You know, it's not like it was disingenuous.
Yeah.
It was like oh, hey, what's up, man? Hey, good to see you. But now like people walk in, you're like, Marty, what's up, brother? Good to see you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so-and-so rocking new shoes.
I don't talk like that.
I've heard a couple times.
Sure.
But like, and the oil will go up and you're like, you know, you really are like, you know, oh, there he is, you know.
Yeah.
And those things would happen from time to time. But the last like 2 years, man, it's like every time.
Yeah. Have I noticed that change? I think so. There was, you know, Finn was asking me yesterday about like when I was really competing in CrossFit, if I had everything dialed in. And I was like, well, if we're going P2S4, social and stress suffered a lot.
Yeah.
And they were in conflict because if anyone got in my way of training 3 hours a day or my meal time, I probably wasn't pleasant to be around.
Which is common for high performers.
And it was really selfish. Like it was isolating and it was selfish, but it was the mission I was on.
Yeah.
And I say that because like there were times where I looked at appointments on my calendar as interference. Like, okay, well, this is here instead of time to train. Shoot. And so I'd show up almost with like, just got to go through the motions here. And that's probably more harsh than it needs to be. But if I look back and really look at like, yeah, there were times where I should have been excited to see that person and to like improve my craft and then help improve them with what they're going through, which I feel like has always been the case. But if there's a subtle shift in energy that you focused, it's like, because I want to help people.
Yeah.
More so than I want to train at this point. I still want to train. Like if a day goes by, I might like, yeah, I'll admit it. I don't think that's completely healthy to be like, oh, I missed a day of training. Now I need to feel sorry for myself. But yeah, I think that's probably like the subtle shift is like, I have opportunities to meet with people and like, what a blessing they've asked me to help them. Like, that's a gift.
Lucky for them, they get to work with you.
Lucky for me, I get to work with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a perspective that I am constantly talking with our team about, you know, and yeah, man, I'm so grateful that I've gotten to see that journey, be a part of it, be a recipient of it. You know, it really has been, you know, I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you. This is just a really different way of working with you now. And maybe it's because we've got reps at it. You know, there's so many variables, but even in what you just said, the verbiage is very intentional. You're blessed to have the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, it's the way that you spoke about that. The word that kept ringing in my ear was, he treats it like a ministry. And I think as a believer in fitness, I think you're doing a really good job with not preaching at people, because you have like you said earlier, you have that perspective of what it feels like to be told repent, and that does not feel good. But you're creating a space where people are more comfortable with you now than I think they may have been in the past. And, you know, like the intentionality of praying for your people, praying for yourself, and how you show up for your people, all of that is paying dividends. And so I just want to give you props. Like, the Spirit's been moving, bro. It's been great.
Thank you.
You know, and my hope is that if you're a coach and you're listening to this, if you're not a believer, obviously my hope is like you would come to know like Christ is for you. Christ is not against you. You know, there is so much freedom in Jesus. And then from a worldly perspective, I hope that what people have gotten from this is just knowing that there's a lot that comes from looking at your craft differently. There's a lot that comes from looking at your product not as, do you have the most like badass program around? I actually recently talked to a coach that said, like, people know me because my gym is the hardest gym in the Dallas area, and our workouts crush people. And I was like, okay, I want people to know us not as a gym, but I want us to know us as a coaching program. I want people to look at that word coach and know that it means that they're going to get a lot of intentionality, build a relationship. Ben Bergeron would say, you're not in the fitness business, you're in the relationship business. So like coaches, clients listening to this, I just hope that you get out of it. Like that's where we're coming from. Like, obviously treating your business like a ministry, it's great. If you're not going to go that step and treat it like a ministry, at least treat it like it deserves to be treated, like a coaching program. You know, I kind of want to land the plane. I've stolen a lot of your time, and I'm very grateful. What do you have going on in your life? Like, what's anything? We have like dozens of listeners. What do you want to plug?
Yeah. Well, if you can show up 29 days ago on January 31st, we've got our health summit tomorrow, which I'm fired up about, because we're going to run a mega class. So there's usually about 3 times a year, Murph, Million Meter Muster, and the health summit. There might be one more that pops up, but where we invite non-members in. And so what we'll do, and this is relevant just because it's the answer to the question, even though it's going to be in history when people are listening to this. We're going to expose them to our 3 different gears of training, which is reload, stim, and dev. And those are just blanket terms for reload. Means like zone 2, long endurance, sustainable. It doesn't mean easy. It's easy relative to the others, but it's work. But restorative work, positions, mobility, sweat. Then there's stim, which is like stimulate. It means you should stimulate something that's going to incite change. Think of that as like your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday practice days. Speaking in football terms, where your pads are on and you're getting after it a little bit. Maybe a little scuffed up, but you can do it again tomorrow. And then there's your dev days, which are essentially your game day. Like, you're going to reach beyond what you know your limits are on these days. And so we're going to run where there's 12 minutes at each station. So it doesn't matter if you start on dev, the next one's reload. You'll be all right. Cool. And then you got stim, or you start reload, stim, dev. And so we're going to introduce this hopefully to a lot of people that aren't familiar with our methods. And then after that workout, we're going to do a coaches panel. In the past, Spencer's usually done a lecture, which is usually kind of like a state of the union, you know, like he lets everyone know what's going on. usually there's some grumblings about membership changes and things like that. Totally understandable, of course. But there's also some conviction behind it, and like, here's why. Like, here's why this is the mission we're on. It just kind of is a nice address. Well, we feel like we've established that really well. And so tomorrow, what we'll do is have every coach talk about an actual case study on the P2S4.
That's cool.
So Spencer will kind of like MC, and then Finn will talk about programming. Right now he's our head programmer. And then he'll pass it off to Lindsay, who will talk about nutrition, and Marcella, who will talk about sleep. Spencer refers to these, I think this is really smart. He refers to these as the hardware, right? So when we think nutrition, you're like, yeah, sleep. Or when you think fitness, you think nutrition, sleep, and performance. Makes sense? That's the hardware.
Yeah.
And then the other three are the software, where Grayson will talk about social health, and Lauren will talk about stress. And then I'll wrap it up with psychology, which is the one where, like, it's such an honor for me to be able to share about that, because that feels like the one where if you don't know what we're doing, you're like, I'm not going to get psychology coaching from a fitness coach.
Yeah.
To be able to create some clarity around that and communicate it with our current members and potential new members is something I'm really excited about doing tomorrow.
That's the thing that you have grown so much in the time that I've known you, coaching
Thanks,
me
man.
with. And it's not like you were bad at it before. But man, it's cool. Those are the conversations that I love having with you. Like, I'm just like, I usually walk away with, a really great takeaway. So if you're listening to this, go back in time and go to the health summit.
We'll record it, so it'll be out there.
Oh, perfect.
BPR, YouTube probably, or Instagram.
We haven't plugged it yet. What does BPR stand for?
Behavior and performance research.
Oh, sweet. And you guys are, I mean, because it was such a big brand, formerly CrossFit Dallas Central.
Yeah, the OG.
And so behavior and performance research, you guys are on Washington Street?
Yeah, Live Oak in Washington.
Live Oak in Washington.
We stay open.
24/7?
Not 24/7. We stay open despite the snowstorms. We're on the power with the hospital. So.
Oh man, good for you guys.
Yeah.
If somebody listening, whether it's another coach or someone in the Dallas area, and they want to work with you, how would they do that?
Like, work with us as athletes or coaches?
Man, either.
Both. Yes, and. As athletes, bpr.training. Not .com, bpr.training. I don't know how he did that. How did he do that? That's the website.
It's ninja level.
It's ninja
It's really
level.
cool. And I think it was him and Boris, maybe.
Yeah, this is for sure Boris. Probably Boris's idea.
What a legend.
What a legend.
Gosh.
He's out in Australia, right?
Yeah. He's about to redo our whole thing, too.
Oh, yeah? Sweet.
Yeah, we're about to be Dallas Training Collective.
Really?
Yeah. I'm pretty pumped.
DTC?
DTC, you and me.
I like that. I like that. Congrats on that.
Thanks.
Yeah, so
BPR.training.
BPR.training, schedule an intro. You'll get a call from you'll get a Zoom schedule with either me or Spencer to give you an intro. And then we'll fill you in on the process from there.
Yeah.
For coaches, you can email me, Chad at bpr.institute. That's right. And just let us know why you're interested and where you're at in your coaching journey.
Yeah.
We love coaching coaches. Even if you want to just intern and learn from us, we could set that up.
Yeah.
If you want to potentially become a career coach, we can set that up too.
I emailed Spencer a while back and just kind of like vamping on some stuff. And I was like, dude, if I didn't own a gym, I would be like offering to clean the floors to intern with you guys. So if you're a coach and you want to steal some nuggets, learn some things, take them up on the offer. It's a really unique way of coaching, and it's a really unique way of training. And I know there's some like CrossFit purists out there. They're going to be like, you're not like maxing out thrusters all the time. No, they get after it.
Yeah.
There's some ways to get after it. What if I'm a competitive person? Is there anything that you're like,
Yeah, we're still spitting out the Overboard program.
Oh, what's that?
So there's our group class protocol, which is GPP, but we separate those energy systems. We get a really nice blend. We've been curating programming for years, and at this point, Spencer's like, this is the best it's ever been. So, and I agree with him.
It's really good. So much so that I've asked for you to program for us.
So we like where that's at. But on top of that, we have the Overboard program, which is really geared more towards like high skill, so Olympic weightlifting, gymnastics stuff, and just stuff that we can't really accommodate, whether for equipment or time in a class setting.
Yeah.
So that's what that, and we can also cater that towards High Rocks or towards CrossFit.
And you have zero experience in any sort of competing, right?
Yeah, zero. And maybe this is a little bit of a testimony to the pro. Obviously, I have maybe it's not obvious. I have a long history of training. And so I came into this with a base. But I'm 39 now, and this last year I decided I'm not going to train to compete. I'm going to spend my time traveling for adventure.
That's cool.
And so I haven't been like really leaning into like PRs or chasing super tough workouts. I've been following our program. I've just been following the program that we write for our members.
And you PR'd some stuff.
And last week I set a lifetime PR split jerk. I haven't done a heavy split jerk since September of 23. I had to look it up because I thought, it was like, oh, that might be close to my PR.
What was it?
And I looked it up and I was like, oh, it was 10 pounds more than the most I've ever done in my life. And that's 2 years of not doing a heavy shouldered overhead.
You're a humble person. I want to know the answer. How heavy did you split jerk?
363.
Let's go.
Yeah. It was part of the NorCal qualifiers.
That's cool.
I partnered up with Dan Bracken, and we're going to do the elite pairs. And we finished third in the qualifiers.
That's so awesome.
First and second were way ahead of us points-wise. But, for like just following our program and not training like I used to.
Yeah.
Dan carried us up there a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
But that's affirming.
That's really cool. And I was gonna land the plane, but now I just have to give you guys one
Let's
more.
Let's keep talking another hour.
Just real quick note. From a programming perspective, I've been following the programming. This is the best that I've felt in years.
That's great to hear.
It is the best that I felt with my nervous system in years. My cortisol levels are down. Like all these things that impact our health after, on this side of 30. Mm-hmm. I've just felt good, man. So you guys are doing great.
Right on.
So
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we came up with the title for the episode yet, but like this all flowed really well. I just really enjoy talking to you.
Yeah. I want to just call it the Ministry of Magic, but
no one's ever used that.
I am a Harry Potter geek.
That's a novel term.
And were we talking about magic? I think Mark would call this magic.
Mark would call this magic. Yes. Words or spells is what he says.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. Can I share one story?
Oh, please do.
Thanks for hanging in there. The dongle, is that what that's called? That fell, the video. Did the battery run out?
It did. That's great.
It's totally
that's great.
Totally okay. This is kind of ripping off Mark England, but it's something that's just, I have so many thoughts in my head. The 3 coffees in the morning is really helpful. So thank you for this.
Yeah, no problem.
Just a quick note to coaches about programming, people that want to be competitive. Unless they have been to like semifinal level, they don't need semifinal type training.
Oh, that'll preach.
They just don't. I've tried it.
Yeah.
People, I want to go to the game. Okay, let's throw everything at you. Here's how you need to eat it.
Yeah.
Maximal effective dose. No, it doesn't work. It's burnout in a 3-month span.
Yep.
Good luck. Build the base. Set expectations, and get them there. Okay, back to the Mark England thing. And this is a little anecdote I'm going to share tomorrow. You talk about words are magic. I learned this from him, so I'm ripping it off from Mark England and Lifted. But mindset defined as your thoughts become your stories and your stories become your reality. I'm going to dive into this deeper tomorrow, but the short little anecdote is I had a guy in a cold plunge during our regen session. And this is a tough guy, you know. He's you know, mid-30s, strong.
It wasn't me, was it?
It was not you. And he just didn't have a lot of experience in a cold plunge. And when it's at 42 degrees, it's uncomfortable.
It's a little chilly.
So he hopped in with the goal of going 2 minutes, and he's got his hands and shoulders out of the water. And he's a minute in, and he's like, my toes are freezing. I don't know if I can go much longer. How much more time do I have? I said, you got a minute. How do your shoulders feel? He goes, my shoulders are fine. What do I care? My toes are freezing. I said, think about your shoulders. There's steam coming off them right now. I want you to take a 5-second inhale through your nose. Hold it there. I want you to take a 10-second exhale. Hold it there. Time's up. And he got out. So the words are magic thing and the mindset thing is the story was my toes are cold. I need to get out.
Yep.
But I set a goal of 2 minutes. We changed the words and we changed the thoughts, which changed the story. What are you focused on? What we didn't do was change the environment at all. If anything, the cold was intensifying because he was in there longer. So it's just one of those words are magic stories. And this is also how you coach psychology without being a shrink. And we're not diagnosing and prescribing. We're just being like, hey, think about this. If you bring that into your daily life, you're changing your mindset, which changes your stories, which changes your experience of reality.
I love that.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark England.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Which he's going to be on the pod soon.
Nice.
So
that's great.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for this. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to do my podcast voice. This has been the Untitled Coaching Podcast. That's all we got. Peace.
Yeah. # Ministry of Magic episode. Thanks for having me.